You're watching BusinessDay TV and I'm Kaka Ngofe. Today I'm at the Gauteng legislature for the medium-term budget speech, and earlier I caught up with the MEC of the province for finance and economic development, Lebogang Maile, to share with us what can be expected moving forward.
Our approach to growth is rooted in the quest for reindustrialization and the deliberate inclusion of township and local enterprises in the mainstream economy. On infrastructure, we agree with the view that was reiterated in the national budget, that infrastructure investment is the base for long-term growth, improved service delivery, and job creation, and that government is shifting spending towards growth, enhancing infrastructure. We understand infrastructure to be an economic growth enabler. Goods and services must seamlessly move between businesses and consumers. In the 2026 MTF, a total budget of 36.4 billion is allocated for the infrastructure program.
So MEC, thank you so much for joining us. I'd like us to start with looking at the fiscal reality and the pressure that the province is under in terms of restoring economic development. How is this budget going to reflect that?
Thank you very much. The budget starts by looking at the economic reality, because you can't ignore the economic reality globally, continentally, and in the country, because whatever happens in the economy has got a direct impact on the fiscal framework, on the capacity of our revenue collection as a government. And as you know, our revenue comes from three sources, mainly the equitable share, which is at the national level, which is allocated to all provinces, and the conditional grants, which are also at the national level. And all that money comes from the money collected by the South African Revenue Services. And the third area is our own revenue, which is raised through vehicle licenses, gambling taxes, liquor taxes that we charge and all that. So you can't ignore and separate the economic realities from the fiscal framework.
MEC, the Premier recently highlighted 312 billion rands in investment commitments, and you've noted that 73 billion rands in pledged investments is moving towards implementation. What fiscal unlocks are in this project to ensure that the remaining budget doesn't stall?
Yeah, well, these are commitments, firstly, which was made in our investment conference last year, and we have said that commitments remains that they are not projects, but we are happy that some of these projects are now being converted because we are working with the private sector that has invested, and not all of them needs money from government. Some of them needs unlocking and making sure that we facilitate, which is the role that we are playing through our growth and development agency, and we are continuing to work and collaborate with the private sector. This year we are having the second installment of the investment conference on the 9th of April, where we will be explaining how far we've gone with the pledges from last year, and hopefully get more pledges, and also look at how we collaborate with the private sector and civil society in unlocking all these investments.
You spoke on the province's special economic zones. I'd like us to look at the Vaal and the Tambo Springs one, and maybe the recent budget pressures. Are these projects fully funded for 2026-2027, or are we expecting a scale back on that?
Yes, they are. There is a budget, but when you say fully funded, I don't know what it means. But they are funded because there are specific roles that we must play, the specific role that the Department of Trade and Industry must play, and we are putting resources in these special economic zones.
And just continuing on putting resources, we've seen the focus on digitizing spaza shops. What specific percentage of the provincial procurement budget is strictly ring-fenced for Gauteng-based SMEs? And how are you managing compliance also on that?
Well, we have set targets that we want women-owned, youth-owned, organizations of people living with disability, black-owned, township-based enterprises to benefit. So we are monitoring it on a monthly basis, and every department has got the responsibility from our procurement to empower them, and we're also looking at how we help them financially.
And just lastly, looking at small to medium-sized businesses, they remain the most vulnerable, looking at the infrastructure, talking on the water and electricity interruptions that were mentioned at the SOPA. How do you aim to address or mitigate these challenges?
Well, we are working with municipalities, working with private sector, because as you know, some of these responsibilities reside with the municipalities, and we've got a responsibility to coordinate and facilitate as a provincial government and make sure that there is improved collaboration and coordination with the three spheres of government so that we can make an impact, because all three spheres are making an effort, have made resources available to intervene. So we have to make sure that there is better coordination so that there is no duplication.
MEC, thank you so much.